the mobilization of such enormous groups. They are thus kept together for long periods of effective service. But please mute. All surviving mortals who reawaken on the mansion world is not a part of the reassembly of the sleeping survivor. The physical as the new life vehicle for the immortal soul and for the indwelling of the returned adjuster. The adjuster is the custodian of the spirit's transcripts of the mind of the sleeping survivor. The assigned seraphim is the keeper of the surviving identity, the immortal soul, as far as it has evolved. Their personality trust, the new individual constitutes the resurrection of the old personality, the survival of the evolving Mauritian identity of the soul. Such a reassociation of soul and adjuster is quite properly called a resurrection, a reassembly of personality factors. But even this does not entirely explain the reappearance of the surviving personality. Though you will probably never understand the fact of such an inexplicable transaction, you will sometime experientially know the truth of it if you do not reject the plan of mortal survival. The plan of initial mortal detention on 7 worlds of progressive training is nearly universal in Urantia. In each local system of approximately 1,000 inhabited planets, there are 7 mansion worlds, usually satellites or sub-satellites of the system capital. They are the receiving worlds for the majority of ascending mortals. Sometimes all training worlds of mortal residents are called universe, mansions, and it was to such spheres that Jesus alluded when he said, "In my Father's house are many mansions." From here on, within a given group of spheres, like the mansion worlds, ascenders will progress individually from one sphere to another and from one phase of life to another, but they will always advance from one stage of universe study to another in class formation.
Thank you very much, Sister America. So this part I've actually said a lot and a lot of things. So in section 2 of this this part 2, where you talk about the sleeping survivors, right? They made us understand that when we've had our physical experiences here on this planet and we die, we go into a phase that they call the sleeping survival. And the only people that don't really experience that phase are those that are able to resurrect on the 3rd day. And those are those that have a personal seraphic guardian assigned to them. And those are those at a particular level of spirituality that is called the 3rd psychic circle or the 3rd cosmic circle. Anyone that has not gotten to that particular level of spirituality or advancement would have to experience this phase that they call the sleeping survival, right? And they now made mention that in the part in the Bible where it was explained that, okay, after Jesus Christ died and he resurrected, that he went to the grave to preach to some people, and then he took those people out of the grave into heaven. They made us understand that this allegorical interpretation of it was a dispensational resurrection where the sleeping survivors that have been, in that phase up until the time before Christ came, that when Christ came and resurrected, he resurrected all of them. So they were all resurrected in that phase, So, and then they now move to after the stage of the sleeping survival, because eventually everyone is going to resurrect, right? Eventually, ultimately, those that go through the stage of sleeping survivors are going to resurrect at a dispensational roll call. So it may not be a personal resurrection, but at the end of the dispensation, they will resurrect. And when they resurrect, they go into the next phase, which is the mansion world student. Mansion world student phase is when you now resurrect in the resurrection halls and then proceed to the mansion worlds, which are like cities, worlds, where we're meant to have experience, grow, learn, from stage to stage to stage to stage. And then this portion ended by saying all through the while your learning is going to be at an individual level, but advancement from one stage to the other will be in classes. There will be class formations, there will be batches, right? So during this your growth in the mansion world, your growth may be at a personal level, developing yourself, trying to overcome your own weaknesses, trying to overcome your own biases, trying to overcome your own limitations. But group advancement will still happen when you are supposed to move from one major stage to the other. And now we'll go to the fourth stage, the Morontia Progressors. And I would start reading. Brother Abdul Malik, welcome. So, Morontia Progressors. From the mansion worlds on up through the spheres of the system, constellation, and the universe, mortals are classified as Morontia Progressors. They are traversing the transition spheres of mortal ascension. As the ascending mortals progress from the lower to the higher of the Morontia worlds, they serve on countless assignments in association with their teachers and in company with their more advanced and senior brethren. Morontia progression pertains to continuing advancement of intellect, spirit, and personality form. Survivors are still three-natured beings. Throughout the entire Morontia experience, they are wards of the local universe. The regime of the super universe does not function until the spirit career begins. Mortals acquire real spirit identity just before they leave the local universe headquarters for the receiving worlds of the minor sectors of the super universe. Passing from the final Morontia stage to the first or lowest spirit status is but a slight transition. The mind, personality, and character are unchanged by such an advance. Only does the form undergo modification, but the spirit form is just as real as the Morontia body, and it is equally discernible. Before departing from their native local universes for the super universe receiving worlds, the mortals of time are recipients of spirit confirmation from the Creator Son and the local universe Mother Spirit. From this point on, the status of the ascending mortal is forever settled. Super universe worlds have never been known to go astray. Ascending seraphim are also advanced in angelic standing at the time of their departure from the local universes. So this particular phase now is when we now have had long and more experience stay in the Morontia world. We are advancing up until the point where we attain spirit levels, So for me, all these things they are interesting to know, and then they help us live life here with a consciousness. If you're having a purely material experience here, you are only concerned about the material things of life, you're only concerned about physical things, there's a way you will live your life. There are some decisions you will take, there are some decisions you will make that you would not do if you only had a broad perspective of what life is really all about and why we are really here. Living with the awareness or with a spiritual consciousness of what our purpose in life is and what the scope of our existence is really helps us position our value system, how we make decisions, what kind of decisions we make, the quality of our decisions, right? So, but if one generally lacks or doesn't pay attention to that aspect of our lives, there are some other worldly decisions, worldly actions that would pull us in their direction. And when they pull us in this direction, it retards our spiritual growth and development, whether we like it or not. So one can say, "Oh, I have no choice. I have to, be in this office and take this bribe and do all these illegal things because that's how the system is. I can't change the system, and I need money. I'm not being paid well at my job, and I really need this money to survive. So I have to do this. Good and fine, right? But it doesn't stop the fact that you are retarding your spiritual progress by some of the decisions, some of this kind of decisions that we make. So you might excuse it for reasons that seem valid. You know, if you think about them, they seem valid. They seem like you are helpless, but it really impedes our how much we can work with God and how much we can grow, how much we can allow ourselves grow. Some people like myself, I would really want to just leave this planet, die when it's time, at the right age, when I've lived long enough and fulfilled my purpose here on this world. I would like to die and begin experiencing the spiritual world, you know, engaging with celestial beings, having more exalted experiences, learning, growing, finding more and more about God, being more and more like God, right? But the thought that this can be delayed by how I live my life here, or it can be facilitated by how I live my life here, it kind of motivates me to want to go in the direction of doing anything that would bring this realization into being faster or better, you know. So, and I would like to also grow enough to be in the third psychic circle so that when I leave this world, I will just resurrect on the third day and begin my journey, you know. So, in order to qualify for that stage, there's a requirement which is in how I live my life and the decisions that I make. All of us internally, in the part of our minds, we crave to advance spiritually. We crave to be like Christ. We crave to manifest the fruit of the Spirit. We crave to shine the light of God in our lives, you know. But we will only achieve these things if we are willing to submit to the will of God and then make the right decisions and take the right actions in the direction of the will of God. It's not that easy, I know. For most of us, it's not that easy, but we'll just always continue to try. We'll always continue to try because we know that this world is not a material world. Even as much as we're in a physical world, we have to live a physical life, we have to have a job, we have to interact with people, we have to exist in a society, we have to participate in the economics of the world. But we still know that this world is beyond just this physical. There's a spiritual, and the spiritual world is the one of significance than this. This world is a fleeting world, it's a shadowy world. A lot of things are changing. We will not be here for long. In less than a century, in less than a century and a half, all of us on this call won't be on this planet, whether we like it or not. So we are just here for a while, and no matter what we do, is things that are in the direction of the will of God that actually count and matter on the long run. So the floor is actually open for anyone who also want to contribute before we jump into the next part. So in the absence of any comments, I'll go to the paragraph 22. 5. Super universe words. All ascenders arriving on the training worlds of the super universe become the words of the Ancient of Days. They have traversed, I should note here now, for new Urantia Book readers that may be among us today, the super universe is a kind of a level higher than the world that we immediately go into when we die. So when we die, when we leave this planet, we would go into a particular world, that is the Morontia world, and it's the Morontia world we will first have to learn and grow, and when we've grown, we will now attain first stage spirit that now takes us into the super universe. That's where this stage of the super universe worlds begin. So reading forward, they have traversed the Morontia life of the local universe and are now accredited spirits. As young spirits, they begin the ascension of the super universe system of training and culture. extending from the receiving spheres of their minor sector in through the study worlds of the 10 major sectors and on to the higher cultural spheres of the super universe headquarters. There are three orders of student spirits in accordance with their sojourn upon the minor sector, major sector, and the super universe headquarters worlds of spirit progression. As Morontia ascenders studied and worked on the worlds of the local universe, so spirit ascenders continue to master new worlds until they practice at giving out to others that which they have imbibed at the experiential fount of wisdom. But going to school as a spirit being in the super universe career is very unlike anything that has ever entered the imaginative realms of the material mind of man. Before leaving the super universe for Havona, this ascendant spirit received the same thorough course in super universe management that they received during their Morontia experience in local universe supervision. Before spirit mortals reach Havona, their chief study, but not exclusive occupation, is the mastery of the local and the super universe administration. The reason for all of this experience is not now fully apparent. But no doubt such training is wise and necessary in view of their possible future destiny as members of the corps of the finality. The super universe regime is not the same for all ascending mortals. They receive the same general education, but special groups and classes are carried through special courses of instruction and are put through specific courses of training. So they are telling us that there will be generally we are being educated, right? But the training is still kind of different. There are still special courses based on your interest, based on what appeals to you. People can go in different directions. Havona pilgrims. 6. When spirit development is complete, even though not replete, then the surviving mortal prepares for the long flight to Havona, the haven of evolutionary spirits. On earth, you were a creature of flesh and blood. Through the local universe, you were a morontial being. Through the super universe, you were an evolving spirit. With your arrival on the receiving walls of Havona, your spiritual education begins in reality and in earnest. Your eventual appearance on paradise will be as a perfected spirit. The journey from the super universe headquarters to the Havona receiving spheres is always made alone. Before now, it used to be group graduation. Now it's no more group graduation, it's individual. From now on, no more class or group instruction will be administered. You are through with the technical and administrative training of the evolutionary worlds of time and space. Now begins your personal education, your individual spiritual training. From first to last, throughout all Havona, the instruction is personal and threefold in nature: intellectual, spiritual, and experiential. The first act of your Havona career will be to recognize and thank your transport Sakonafim for the long and safe journey. Then you are presented to those beings who will sponsor your early Havona activities. Next, you go to register your arrival and prepare your message of thanksgiving and adoration for dispatch to the Creator Son of your local universe. The Universe Father who made possible your sonship career. That means when you've gotten to Havona, you now go and send message to Michael, to our Father, our Creator Son here, that